In 1980, there was a kind of rush of anti-women, anti-minorities legislation that was not just oppressive, it was very discriminatory, and it really disadvantaged Muslim women and non-Muslim citizens of Pakistan.
Women had been stopped from participating in athletic events. There was a questionnaire circulating by the government asking whether women could drive, whether women could work.
There are pictures that everyone has seen of women burning their chadars and dupattas as a reaction to the Hudud ordinance and other laws which basically was saying in legal and policy framework that women are second-class citizens.
This was an era where you really couldn't turn your face away. You couldn't say, this is happening, it doesn't concern me.
The movement already existed. It may have been not as well connected, as understood, as recognized, but the movement was always there.
There were other movements also, but primarily it was the Women's Action Forum of educated women who came to the rescue of their fellow women in other parts of rural and urban and peri-urban Pakistan who were the direct victims of these anti-women laws.
So that's how I think this whole situation of a dark period in Pakistan's history had a silver lining. More oppression that we saw, more stronger the resolve to fight it became. One of the things that also as a strategy, the women's rights movement, I think, did very rightly was to forge alliances with other movements. Women's rights cannot be promoted in isolation. We have to have support of the movement for democracy, trade unions, and that's what we did. The women's movement was the mother of the movement for democracy in Pakistan.
In late 80s and early 90s, most of the human rights organizations and women's rights groups were formed and established, like Aurat Foundation, like South Asia Partnership Pakistan, like HRCP and many other.
The Canadians came forward and supported those institutions, individuals and organizations which were taking that pro-people, pro-women, progressive agenda forward.
Some of the biggest organizations that came into being were the ones who were working for development in rural areas, rural development. SAP-PK, for instance, is a direct creation or facilitated by the Canadian support. Similarly, SPO was also created by Canadian support. Now, these organizations had big grassroots outreach.
SIDA, in this case, in case of South Asia Partnership Pakistan, SPO, HRCP, Shirkatgah, Aurat Foundation, and there are numerous other organizations where SIDA provided them not only program support but institutional support.
And not just the organizations. Canadians also invested in consolidating networks of these civil society organizations and institutions from the grassroots to the very top.
Canada definitely has a model of change that works at three different levels, grassroots to institutional to policy impact on the ground, as well as at the individual level. And we've always tried to work at having impact at those three levels. And I believe a cadre, gender equality activists and organizations taking action on gender equality exist in Pakistan, partly through Canadian support in the 1990s. We've seen tremendous change at the level of strengthening of civil society, of women's organizations, of women's rights organizations in Pakistan. And there's been tremendous progress in Pakistan at the legislative level for women's protection. At some level, grassroots is also impacted by that policy and legislative change.
Often our work remains at the top and doesn't trickle down, or starts at the bottom and doesn't go up. But I think real change starts from the bottom. This is just my own personal opinion, and I think Canada was able to help build that foundation, engaging women and girls at the district level, engaging those that got elected to build their capacity, And that fundamental change has never really disappeared from any of our models, ours and other organizations that work in the same area.
We remember that the local government elections were held in late 90s or early 2000. And I remember that SIDA supported Aurat Foundation, financially and thinking and designing the program. And so we ran a very successful campaign with the support of SIDA, and that was Citizens Campaign for Women's Representation. And this campaign and the local government election was a turning point in Pakistan's history. And then onward, we see that the policy framework of Pakistan for women and other marginalized sections started changing.
As a result of our work for the informal economy, the government of Punjab started its policy on domestic worker after our interventions. Now, after the project has been over for more than 1.5 years, the government of Punjab has come up with from policy it has come to the law. And the government came up with a policy on home-based workers, and that policy is now valid. That in agriculture sector, the government of Sindh for the first time awarded the right to organize to the agriculture and fishing workers under the Sindh Industrial Relation Act. So these were some of the policies with the government that we worked on.
Since the beginning of AKRSP, Canadian government, one of the bilateral donors, provided financial support to AKRSP for its social mobilization for women's development program, where AKRSP designed a program with financial support from Government of Canada, where women's productivity was increased, their institutional strengthening and their capacity was built, and then the activities were designed which reduced their workload.
सबसे पहले मैंने ज्वेलरी का ट्रेनिंग मैंने लिया काड़ों से, फिर वहाँ से मैंने प्रोडक्शन पे भी काम किया और एज मास्टर ट्रेनर पे भी। फिर वहाँ से मैंने सुना कि रूफानी फाउंडेशन में जेम्स कटिंग का वो प्रोजेक्ट आया, फिर मैं वहाँ चली गई, वहाँ से ट्रेनिंग हासिल की मैंने 4 महीने। हम फर्स्ट ख़वातीन हुंजा में जो हमने बिज़नेस स्टार्ट किया है जेम्स कटिंग और ज्वेलरी का, और हम यही चाहते हैं कि जो ख़वातीन घरों में बैठे हुए हैं इस ट्रेनिंग हासिल करके वो भी मार्केट में निकले और इसी तरह बिजनेस कर लें।
शुरू में हुआ था कि जब ये लोग आए उन्होंने बताया कि औरतें भी इस महकमे में काम करती हैं और मर्द भी करते हैं, तो काफ़ी लोगों ने कहा, गांव में भी कई लोगों ने लड़की को काम पे लगाया है। पहले तो नहीं देखा कि कभी लड़की शॉप पे खड़ी है, दूध ले रही है या कोई काम कर रही है, अब इन्होंने लड़की को काम पे लगा दिया। लेकिन मेरे वाला साहब जो हैं उनकी सोच अच्छी थी, उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं मेरी बेटी है, मैंने उसे तालीम हासिल करवाई है, मुझे अच्छा लगेगा कि मेरी बेटी कोई काम करे, आगे बढ़े, उसका एतमाद बढ़े कि मैंने भी कुछ करना है और आगे मज़ीद भी काम करे। फिर सब लोग अब जब देखते हैं कि काम हो रहा है, अच्छा हो रहा है, तो अब कहते हैं कि ठीक है, हाँ वाकई अच्छा है, काम करना चाहिए लड़कियों को भी। हमारे गांव में भी बहुत ऐसा होता है कि औरत को उसका हक नहीं मिल रहा होता, मर्द जो हैं वो वैसे ही फिर रहे होते हैं और औरतें जो हैं वो सारा दिन काम कर रही होती हैं, इतना काम करती हैं कि हद से ज़्यादा। मैं ये सोचती हूँ कि मैं अब इस कारोबार को करूँगी, अगर प्लान पाकिस्तान वालों का जो है साल का है जितना भी है, उसके बाद भी अगर वो ख़त्म भी हो जाएगा तो उसके बाद भी मैं कारोबार करूँगी और इसी तरह से चलाऊँगी। इससे मेरे घर में भी फ़ायदा होगा और मुझे भी फ़ायदा होगा।
In the 90s, with Aurat Foundation, they intervened at the district level, an initiative to engage women and girls. That same initiative was taken further in the 2000s. Canada played a huge role in creating resource centers for women councillors that were elected at the local level. So a huge direct intervention at the policy level. And I think it was through this intervention of SIDA that councillors requested that there be centers or there be setups in which they are given the capacity training. That we've now got elected, but what's our role? What do we do next? How do we serve our community? So I think it was a very forward-thinking initiative.
औरत चाहे तो बहुत कुछ कर सकती है। और आप यकीन करें कि जब मुझे पता चला कि मैं जो हूँ, मैं MPA पे मेरा नाम आ गया और मैं जो हूँ MP, आप यकीन करें कि मुझे वो मेरी फीलिंग्स, मुझे वो फीलिंग्स मैं नहीं भूल पाऊँगी। और जब मैंने जाके वो ओथ ले रही थी, मैं इसको पढ़ना शुरू करा, तो मैं उस हर लाइन पे कह रही थी कि या अल्लाह मुझे कामयाबी देना कि मैं इस ओथ पे पूरी उतरूँ। 4 महीने की जद्दोजहद के बाद आखिरकार अपने इलाके में अपने एक गली बनाने में कामयाब हो गई, सिलाई मशीनें बांटने में कामयाब हो गई। और फिर मैंने बहुत सारे ख्वाब देखे कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर कैसे बनते, मैं बनूँगी, मैं बन जाऊँगी। और देखिएगा आप, इसी जगह पे हम बैठ के हम कह रहे होंगे कि देखें वो खातून जो किचन से सफ़र शुरू करती है, आज वो वज़ीर आज़म भी बन सकती है।
Today we've helped over 1.5 million women entrepreneurs across Pakistan through access to micro loans, through access to micro insurance, and of course the project that we ran with the Canadians on training women on financial education, training men on better gender practices, and creating awareness on gender rights, and helping women in improving their business practices.
I remember Canada really stands out in our struggle for women's rights in Pakistan, when we don't need money to promote a cause, but if we have the resources, the pace of change quickens and the outreach becomes bigger.
If you look at the development aid architecture, not just now, but for the last many decades, sponsors and donors have invested in projects, and nobody comes forward to support the institutions. So it was small funding, but they were consistent, they were steady, and the money went to the right places.
Shortly after the government assumed office, our Minister for International Development, Marie-Claude Bibeau, launched a review of Canada's international assistance policy, and the name of the new policy is Feminist International Assistance Policy. One of the key findings of the review was that in our assessment, if there's one thing that can achieve progress in reducing poverty and stimulating development in the world, it is gender equality and promoting the empowerment of women.
When women are educated, there are more jobs for everyone. When mothers can keep their children alive and send them to school, there is hope. The world needs leadership based on serving humanity, not based on how many weapons you have. Canada can take that lead. Let the future generations say, we were the ones who stood up. Let them say, we were the first to live in a world where all girls could learn and lead without fear.
I think the Canadians were extremely important in terms of influencing Pakistan in terms of the decisions, in terms of having an open mind towards gender equality. And certainly at the international arena, it was a huge source of support.
So I think the role I see for the Canadian government is really investing in women. And we have to invest in women's economic opportunity and their skills and their capacity to engage in productive enterprises.